Everyone. We are Team 4 here to present the CPU scheduling algorithms using the website which we have made. The website has been made using platform VS Code and languages like JavaScript, CSS and HTML. So let's start with the first algorithm, that is a first come first serve FCFS. I will add a few processes to the scheduling table. As you could see, The as the criteria of the first come first serve says, the process which comes first is to be scheduled first. So the P1, after that P2, after that P3, after that P4 has been scheduled. Also, the values like response time, turnaround time, completion time, and waiting time has been calculated, and a color code has been generated based on which the Gantt chart is also being prepared. Average completion time and average turnaround time is also being calculated for the scheduling table. Line graphs of response time, completion time, and waiting time has been formed. So now let's look at the another algorithm. You could delete the entries from the scheduling table using a delete a row button. Now I'll add new values. So now after clicking on the execute button, it will calculate it will schedule the processes based on the SJF algorithm. Same that response time, turnaround time, completion time, waiting time will be calculated. Gantt chart will be prepared and time graphs of response time, completion time, and waiting time will be prepared. Also, the average completion time and turnaround time will also be calculated. Now, let's look at the round robin algorithm. Here, in the round robin algorithm, you have to enter the time quantum value also. So, I will set it at 2. And for new entries, I will add a new process. And after clicking on the execute button, it will schedule the processes based on the round robin algorithm. So you could see that the time counter 2. So each process will execute either for 2 or less than 2 time period at a time. Also the line graphs have been prepared and the values have been calculated. Now let's look at Ljf algorithm. We'll enter new values for the same. As you can see, I will added 4 processes. Now on clicking on the execute button, it will calculate the values, show the animation of the Gantt chart, calculate average turnaround and completion time, as well as plot the graphs, line graphs. Here you could see on each dot, response time and waiting time value for each processes could be seen. That is for P4, P3, P2, P1. In this case, the response time and waiting time are equal. Hence, the same line is being shown for both. This is the completion time. So now I would like to hand over to Pranjal to continue and explain the rest of the algorithms.
So now I will be explaining you the priority algorithm. So here I select the priority algorithm. Now I will be entering the values. Our values are added. Now, as you can see, here we have done what we have done is the lower the number, higher the priority. So let make P3 as priority 2 and P2 as priority 3. Now, on the right side, we can see the average turnaround time and completion time. Now here, since P3 has lower priority, the first CPU is idle for 1 second and P1 will get executed as its priority is highest. And now P3 has next highest priority, so P3 gets executed before P2. And this is the time graph. Now let's see the Lrtf algorithm. I'm entering some values here. Now, as we all know that Lrtf is a preemptive algorithm, and the process which is having higher burst time, the CPU will preempt to it. Now let's execute it. The completion time in this case is 13.5 and the turnaround time is 10.5. As you can see, the P1 process gets executed for 3 units of time and its updated burst time gets 1 and it sees the overall processes, and here P3 is having a higher burst time after 3 units of running, so it preempted to P3 and this process continues on, and you can also see the time graph here. Also the SRTF is similar to LRTF, just in SRTF is also a preemptive algorithm, and here the CPU preempts to the process which is having the shorter burst time. Let's add one more process here and execute it. As you can see, the CPU was idle for 1 unit and the P1 when arrives, it execute only for 1 unit of time. As P2 was having 2 burst time and P1 updated burst time was 3, it preempted to process P2 and the process continues on, and this is the time graph if you can see it. Thank you for watching. That's all from team 4.